G'day, this is Karis from Grasshole'S. I'm doing a big rig rundown today of all my special toys, my favourite, the things that we record with, and I want to thank Australian Musician for having me. So first of all, every song that has been written by Grasshole'S has started off with this guitar here. So it's an old probably 80s Ibanez. It's given to me as a gift. It's the first guitar I ever had. Beautiful sound. What can I say? If it sounds good on this, it's going to sound good on everything. So usually when I'm starting to write, this is where I go to first. The second guitar we've got for you today is a Squier. This is an early 90s Squier made in Korea. It was owned originally by my uncle. I got given as a gift after he passed. Beautiful guitar. Usually what I'll do is I'll write it on the acoustic first, put it on this, run it through a Roland Microcube amp, which was my first amp ever. It's a 15 watt amp. The fantastic thing about those is they have really good presets as far as just general distortion is concerned, and really kind of System of a Downy, high gain, Mesa Boogie kind of sound through it, but in 15 watts it's perfect. And again, through the Strat, it has really nice cleans, but it handles beautifully through that Microcube. Generally, if I want a really tight sounding distortion, that's where I'll start, and I've always been trying to find pedals that can emulate that sound. Struggled to find them as well, but yeah, it's a fantastic guitar. It sounds beautiful and does the job really nicely. My other favourite for many years was a 1972 Jaguar. This is my Frankenstein Jag. I've done some mods on it over the years. It's got a Orpheus Pickups grunt bucker in it, which is a really mean sounding humbucker. It did have a Damasio super distortion in it at some stage, which I swapped out. This is a little bit hotter, I think, and just has a nice grunty, bitey kind of tone and handles distortions and fuzzes really well. It's had a lot of work done on it, this one. But yeah, I sort of don't get the joy of playing it live anymore because I was getting too reckless and throwing it around. It did come with the purple colour. It had been repainted. I'm not sure what it was before, but I'd assume it was white. And yeah, funny story about this one. I got bottled when I was 17. I got into a fight at a party, got hit over the head with some scotch by some idiots that wanted to basically go me as I was walking home. Victims of Crime combo came through. I bought this guitar, and the rest is history. Picture of health and happiness. The other guitar that is really well regarded in Grasshole'S shows is this one-off Fernandes Custom. This is a guitar that was given to me by a friend. Essentially, it was made in Japan. It's plexiglass. It weighs about 8 or 9 kilos. It's heavy as hell. 2 humbuckers, really straightforward sound, tight like a plexiglass guitar should sound. And it is just the biggest, meanest tone that you can get as far as distortions and handling that are concerned. Incredibly hot pickups. They're both, I think, around the 15 kHz, which is, yeah, huge sound, really hot output. Now this one is really probably the most popular guitar that I've played live. Everyone loves it and watches, the lights flow through it. The cool thing was we did a film clip for a song called Van Halen. Now this was done on a Swedish lake a few years ago. We got naked for the film clip, and the whole reasoning behind that was just so we could use this guitar. So there were 2 or 3 pixels that had to be edited out just sort of in between this middle part here for obvious reasons. But it's a fantastic sounding guitar, wild, heavy as all hell, and absolutely rips. You hear that? Heavy. The last guitar that I use has become my main guitar now is my Telecaster Elite. I bought this about a year and a half ago, just for something completely different. It's got noiseless pickups, aka some people say they're toneless. It actually handles everything I want perfectly in a single coil setup. Handles distortions really well. It's got a high output, maple neck, beautiful guitar, and just locking tuners on the back. All my guitars are tuned to drop C, so that in itself is a really hard tuning to get, particularly on the Fender Jaguar. I love this guitar more than anything. It's become an absolute workhorse, and is a lot lighter than that Plexi I just showed you before. For strings, these are my bad boys, 1154s, beefy slinkies, fantastic strings, just hold the drop C really well. Now I'm going to show you through some pedals that we use when we're recording and live as well. So I'll start with my old pedal board, which has been dismantled. Some of them are glued on too properly for me to move. This Line 6 DL4 for the new album Wildfire was really important when we were doing, and particularly even live, when we're doing the looping for the song First Blood at the start. That is all just one guitar. I just set this up and hopefully don't stuff it up, because I'm pretty average with my toys at the best of times, but I've got this down to a fine art. It's a great delay pedal. I've used it on everything. This is my new green Muff, Super Distortion. Basically, I got this as a replacement for this bad boy, which has always been my favourite pedal. It's got the meanest tone going around. I've never found a fuzz pedal, and I've got quite a few. I've never had a fuzz pedal that has handled distortions as well as this one. So, I don't know, it just seems to push out on a really beautiful tone, really full sound that you think that kind of early Smashing Pumpkins, mean Siamese Dream tone. It's got it in spades and is my all-time favourite fuzz pedal. But I bought this one just to see how it would go. Sort of did a bit of a shootout. I still do prefer this one, but this is bloody close, and it's a really nice pedal as well. That one's made by Ren and Cuff, and this is obviously a Sovtek Big Muff. My main pedal board that I'm using at the moment is pretty delicious. It's got a few different toys on it. So I'll start in order of how I play. We've got a mod tone clean boost. Sometimes I just need to drive the amp a little bit hotter, and what I'll do is I'll generally have that just above, sort of 12 o'clock there, and it'll just give that amp a little bit more push. It really gets a nice reaction out of the Vox and the Marshall, which I'll show you in a bit. My go-to overdrive pedal has been that Dynadrive there, which I've used for years. It's a tension responsive overdrive. So what's really cool about that, the harder you play, the more overdrive you get out of it. It works beautifully with different fuzzes as well. It gives them a sort of mid boost, a bit of a push, so it can cut through a mix if I need to. So I'll generally use this in conjunction with other pedals. Boss have always made great pedals, so it just makes sense to have a few of those on your board. Plus I've got pretty big feet, so they're easier to step on. The second one is an overdrive distortion made by Boss again. This one has been stomped on repeatedly for a few years now. It's probably just the best sounding clean distortion that I've come across, having had a few different Boss distortions, and I really love it. It's reliable, it's tough, and depending on how the room sounds on that night, I'll generally fluctuate between this as my main or a fuzz pedal. So on my old board I used to have two fuzzes and this, and again, just depending on how the room's sounding, I'll have to improvise as to what's cutting through better that night. The one I'm really proud of at the moment is this Fuzz War made by Death by Audio. This is an absolute monster of a pedal, incredibly volatile. Anyone familiar with an artist named Ty Segall will know that this is the key to all these delicious riffs, and he has a fantastic band called Fuzz. He probably has some fantastic buds too. This is a really cool pedal. It just absolutely rips. It's pretty hard to control sometimes live, but the benefits of what it sounds like are just huge. The Pog 2 has about 3 or 4 presets that I use, more so on the last 2 albums. I love it for this fact that you can save your presets. It's an incredible sort of octave boost. It's got 2 octaves above and below that you can use, all the presets there that you can use. and I just, yeah, love it. It's become a real fundamental in Grasshole'S sound. We sort of use it, I tap it on for solos quite a lot of the time with a delay, get a bit of an organy kind of thing going, and yeah, it's one of my favourites to play around with. For more colour, I'll go to this Electric Mistress. The Electric Mistress is cool because it's got a flanger and a chorus built into it. The reason I like this so much, again, is just for a bit of sweeping colour. I can get a little bit of flange going if I want to, or just chorus out if I want to get those sweet sort of Nirvana-y tones, which are, you know, never hurts. I bought this Echo Park. This is the Line 6 pedal. It's a fantastic pedal as well. This is just a smaller version basically of what's happening on that DL4, the big green one I showed you before. Delays, it's got everything you'd really want, just condensed into a small, you know, small sort of chassis. This is the one that I would be touring with if I go overseas or go touring Europe or Indonesia. I take a smaller pedal board for the fact that you know everything costs so much when you're traveling, and it does the job perfectly. It's a really resilient pedal. Some people have had problems with them breaking. Touch wood, wherever I can find some. There you go. Where is it? There we go. Touch wood, it stays strong for a few more years. And then we've got a Simple Boss tuner, which is reliable as all hell. Probably one of my first pedals aside from a distortion. Now some wild cards quickly. I've got a busted Big Muff. This has seen better days. This was my first Big Muff that I had for on and off 6-7 years, and it's taken an absolute battering. I figured by the time that happened it was time to get a new one. We all know what they can do though, fantastic sounding pedal. On the new album, I use this Earthquaker Devices Pyramids to get the intro, particularly for Be My Homunculus. And I really like this pedal. It's got, again, 5-6 presets that you can save into it. Really flangey kind of tones, a huge range of flange. At the end of the day, it is a flange, so how practical is that all the time? I don't know. But I do love this pedal a lot. Some other little wild cards are the Decay Harmonic Antagonizer. That's right. This has some weird tones. I'd highly recommend anyone hopping online and just having a listen to the things that this can do. It is wild. Wasn't actually that practical in a lot of parts of the album, but I really liked it because it just needed to come out in certain parts, bring certain sections out, and this was incredibly handy to do that with. A fundamental of the album that we've just created, which is called Wildfire, was this amp tweaker Tight Metal. I was looking to replicate that metal sound that I've mentioned before on the Roland Cube, the 15 watter. This is probably the closest that I got to it. It has a noise gate in it. It's a brutal little machine, and I was an idiot. I accidentally bought the bass one, as you can see here. But it sounds absolutely fantastic. Haven't had as much luck with it live. I think it's still a little bit volatile for what I need. It would sort of be a choice between this and the overdrive distortion from Boss I showed you before. But for recording, this was the secret ingredient for a lot of our distortions. There's a company in Canada that I'm really loving at the moment called Dr. Scientist. They've made this Frazdazzler. Now, the Frazdazzler was actually another secret ingredient on the album. It breaks up the signal, it sort of chokes it out. You can get really mean fuzzes. It's unreal. It's got a little gain boost as well. Fantastic pedal. Again, you have to hear it to believe it. I'm too lazy to plug in, so have a look up Dr. Scientist Frazdazzler. Another one by these guys as well, because I started getting into data corruptors, basically choking the signal out in 8 bits, and it gets a bit technical for me to even understand, but it bloody sounds cool. This one's called the Bit Quest, and this is really fundamental for the song The Trials of Lenny Harlock. We did a lot of sweeps and a lot of it's got presets in there, so you can switch it to fuzz and clean, and then within that you've got sort of a filter matrix, notch filter, ring modulator, reverse delay, pitch shifter, flanger. It's got everything you could want, and it's just a fantastic machine. Dr. Scientists are making unbelievable pedals, and I'm really impressed with everything they do. Good on you, Canada. And then the last one here is the Geiger Counter. This is another data corrupter we use for the same part in Lenny Harlock. There's a part that sounds just after the first chorus like a bomb is dropping, and that is what we used. It just sounds absolutely ridiculous. Sort of very hard to get almost usable tones. I would never use this live because the sound engineer would absolutely kill me, but it is a machine and a half. I think over 250 different options, and then within those, you know, multiple machinations that can happen if you're really sonically inclined. It's a ridiculous machine. Plectrums, standard. I like these ones. Snuggling Dogs. Either that or Jimmy Dunlop 60 mils. They're really nice picks. I just thought I'd treat myself before the recording. I don't know how much they cost, probably too much. Still really nice picks. And yeah, it's either those or Jimmy Dunlop for me. The last thing I'm going to show you here is my amps. So I've got a Vox AC30. This thing is a machine and a half. It's a really clean tone. And then we've got the Marijuana Marshall, which I had 3D printed and customized up the top there. It's a JCM 800 running through a 2x12. They are both beautiful amps. So for the recording of Wildfire, what I did was panned both. Let me try and work out how to articulate this. So we put the Marshall through the left and the right, running either the Tight Metal or the Frazzdazzler or the green Big Muff. And then we did the same with the Vox. We switched them over. So you might have a Frazzdazzler or the Tight Metal running through the Marshall on both sides, and then same with the Vox. So most guitars you're hearing 4 guitars. The Marshall's a lot more bassy. It's a fantastic machine, but it's sort of, yeah, it's a real rock and roll kind of machine. It does handle pedals beautifully, but it's a lot more bassy and ballsy. The Vox was sort of a really nice counterpoint to that because it was a clean tone that sat above it. And with that, you're hearing 4 guitars happening. We just panned really well, and it did take a little while to get that all together. But either way, thank you for looking at all my toys, what I have for you today anyway. I'm Karis from Grasshole. Stay safe in this trying times that we have at the moment, and thanks for joining me on Corona camera. See you later. Bye.